Welcome to episode 8 of the Special Projects podcast, also known as season 2, episode 2. And this episode, we're going to try and make Cassie cry as much as she can over The Hobbit.
That's not even from The Hobbit, that's the Rohan theme from Lord of the Rings.
But get it right! You're meant to be the Tolkien nerd among us.
Sorry.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Right, so, over Christmas, Peter Jackson gave me a lovely present of making me cry for 3.5 hours of my life.
Were you giving birth?
What? No?
Because if out of context, that sounds like you could be giving birth to his baby.
First of all, labour lasts longer than 3.5 hours.
It sometimes doesn't. It sometimes doesn't. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna put this out there in the airwaves. I have never slept with Peter Jackson, and probably never will, and I'm definitely not carrying his baby or have given birth to his baby. Just for all the celeb gossip magazines out there, just throwing that out there now.
I'm sure
Wow.
Peter Jackson is on the front cover of every gossip magazine.
He's a sex symbol, Peter Jackson. It's just, you see him, you're like, damn, I want that. Yeah.
Right.
Step aside, Channing Tatum. I want me some PJ. Anyway, sorry. Genuinely, Battle of Five Armies came out, and I cried for 3.5 hours. So we're going to talk about that for a while.
Firstly,
Sorry. You go.
What was the saddest moment in all 3 films?
Ooh, that's hard. That's really hard. It's got to be something to do with... Shut up. It's got to be... That's what Peter said. It's got to be something to do with Thorin, surely. The stuff with the gold sickness... The stuff with the gold sickness was incredibly sad. Obviously, when they first get to Erebor, that was the bit in Desolation that made me cry. Just because Balin starts crying, and then I'm like, oh no! But, the stuff with the gold sickness, despite the weird CGI moment where he's like, whoa! Before all that happens, the bit where Dwalin says something like, you're a king, you used to know that. I can't remember exactly. I've only, I saw it at Christmas, and I actually, surprisingly, only saw the film once. That moment where he's talking to Dwalin, and Dwalin's sort of saying, like, this is affecting you, blah, 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 and they both kind of start crying. That really messed me up. And also, obviously, the moment that destroyed most people was the whole, oh, Bilbo, you have the Arkenstone, give it to me, and then it's like an acorn. That messed a lot of people up, including me. I don't think... Is there anything in Unexpected Journey that's really that sad?
No. It's a pretty cheery film, to be honest.
Cheery. Is there anything that's sad? I mean...
No, the saddest part of it is where he's fighting, was it Azog?
Azog, yeah.
And,
but that's not even sad.
Yeah, I know, but like he's getting beaten down, then Bilbo jumps over like a small rock.
Oh, that's
and
cute.
Saves him.
A small rock. That's cute. Yeah, that's sweet. I guess maybe when the Goblin King's like, oh, Thorin, king under the mountain, or he says something like, oh, but you're not a king and you don't have a mountain or a home or whatever he says. That's quite like, whoa, oof. But there's nothing in Unexpected Journey that's sad, really. No. I don't think.
So this is the saddest moments in the Hobbit films, right?
Yeah, in the whole trilogy.
Okay, in the whole trilogy, not the Lord of the Rings films as well. It's a Legolas moment. It's the bit where he QuickTime events. That made me sad.
That made everyone incredibly sad. God. That... I just hate Legolas in The Hobbit. And I hate saying that because, it's Legolas. I really don't like him in The Hobbit. I don't like his character. I think he's too stoic, and he has its creepy, hilarious moments of kind of hiding in the background and doing the face, but they're not as funny as they were in Lord of the Rings because they're kind of meant to be taken seriously. And they're also kind of creepy because Legolas is like, no, Tauriel, you're mine. And it kind of puts a weird spin on it.
Every other elf character is better than him in those films.
Yeah, I don't... He's not very interesting to me in The Hobbit at all. And I was someone who didn't have a problem with him being in The Hobbit. Because I know, obviously, when it was first announced, a load of people were like, but he's not in the book, blah, blah, blah. But I was, like, really excited. I was like, oh my god, yeah, but it makes sense. Like, I have no problem with him being around. But then I think he was way too serious. And I was kind of hoping that by the third film we'd see some change as to, you know, because obviously in Lord of the Rings, he's still a fairly serious character, but you have the... You know, he's invincible from the moment you see him. You know, nothing's going to happen to him. So he's fairly carefree. I kind of wanted to see some change from stoic grr kind of Legolas to like, whoa, pulling weird faces in the background Legolas. But it just kind of, you didn't really get that. At least I didn't think you did.
No, you didn't. And apart from that bit, I don't know. Actually, no, they didn't even do anything. No, there wasn't in there.
Well, maybe. No. I mean, I love Thranduil. I freaking loved him. I thought he was perfect. He was everything I wanted. I mean, he's ridiculous in a lot of ways, but that was perfect.
He was probably one of the best kind of characters in the trilogies. Don't know. He just seemed like the best one. Well, not like the best guy, but like, you know, the best character. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm doing shit.
I guess we're going favourite characters, and mine's Tauriel, but I felt like she really got shafted in this one because she got nothing to do.
Oh man, Tauriel is like the big debate, really, if you're a Hobbit fan. I like her a lot as a character, but I freaking hated her plotline with Keeley. I didn't have an opposition to them being together, although I do think it kind of diminishes Gimli and Legolas's friendship a little bit, just because it's a bit like, we've already seen this before, this has already been a big deal kind of thing. But first of all, it wasn't a big deal. Everyone was kind of cool with it, which was weird. I mean, Legolas was like, no, you're mine. And Thranduil was kind of like, nah, you shouldn't, don't go with Legolas. But he didn't, it wasn't really a big deal. Thorin either didn't know about it, or, I mean, he must have not known about it, because, like, otherwise he'd care, like, a lot.
It didn't feel like any of the dwarves noticed it. Like, even the ones that were literally...
exactly. Like, no one, not even Feely, like, mentioned it.
Not even the ones in the room in Desolation where he says, oh, I love her, basically.
Exactly,
and they
it just felt
like, none
weird.
of them go, like, oh?
It was just weird, and it didn't... I don't think it went anywhere. And I hated that Keeley basically died for Tauriel and not for, like, the line of Durin, which I know it's partly me being like, I love the line of Durin so much and I don't like change, but it just felt like it really kind of... I mean, Feely, first of all, is, like, barely in it, which really annoyed me, but it just felt like he was fighting for Tauriel instead of fighting for this grand thing. And I mean, in a sense, it kind of is okay, because, the nephews don't necessarily have to be following their uncle's plan. I mean, but I don't think it was done well. If that was what Peter Jackson was going for, I don't think he gave it enough characterization. I think if we'd seen a moment between Feely and Keeley where they were discussing it and were like, I think our uncle's crazy, or I'm just going along with him because I want to go on an adventure, or, I want to get away from our mum, or blah, 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 that would have been fine. But there was just no characterization of any of the dwarves except Thorin, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to talk a lot in this podcast because I have a lot of talking feelings. When we do a Spider-Man podcast or Wes Anderson podcast, then you'll hear the others talk. But
There's not going to be a Spider-Man podcast for like another 10 years.
Oh, we can just do one about Spider-Man. You can just remember things you like about Spider-Man and just say them into the background of some nice music.
I like the spider on
Where's
his
Stacey's hair?
Okay. But yeah, seriously, like, I mean, I'm a big dwarf fan. Wow, I'm so cool. Like, the dwarves are my favorite race, and the line of Durin is, I think, really interesting. I think it's a really interesting story, really interesting characters. None of the dwarves got any kind of character development, apart from Thorin, really.
I would like even like Philly and Killy. Just like, I mean, I always get them confused. Which one's the one that has?
Philly's the blonde one.
Okay, Philly got nothing.
And Keely's the one with Toriel. Feely is in it for like 2 seconds. He was probably maybe my second favorite character. He was in it for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. He was like one of the most badass ones there, and he was barely in it.
So many people that I've talked to who aren't big Tolkien nerds don't realise that he's related to Thorin or Keely. I mean, some people realise Keely, like they're brothers, because obviously he says it at the beginning, but loads of people are like, oh, he's Thorin's nephew? Oh. Because it's like, I mean, obviously in Desolation and Unexpected Journey it's mentioned a lot. Not a lot, but like a fair amount. But in Battle of the Five Armies, which is probably where talks of monarchy and stuff should be the most talked about, it's just not. He's barely in it. Like, at all. And I did, admittedly, I did like his death scene. I think it was done pretty well. Like, it broke my heart. Whereas I found myself not caring when Keely died. I was like, oh, okay. Compared to Feely, that, like, made me well up. Whereas Keely, I was like, okay, he's dead, kind of thing, you know? But, he's barely in it. And I know a lot of people are pissed about that. Like, a lot of people on Tumblr, I mean, people on Tumblr, but you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people on Tumblr are pretty pissed off that he's barely in it at all.
I just want to mention that I just need to mention that Keely, despite his plot, doesn't have a narrative arc either.
What, sorry?
He has the romance. I mean, Keely does, but like he doesn't get any character
Keely?
development. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Keely has like no narrative as well, apart from the romance, which is just stupid.
It has the romance, but like he doesn't. I don't feel like that like really finished. It sort of just was like, and they both turn up.
It's just pointless, really. But yeah.
I can't even remember how he died. Like,
no, I agree
someone
with
hurts
you.
their shoulder or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people are not very happy about the way Feely was dealt with, simply because he basically doesn't really do anything for Battle of Five Armies. I mean, he barely does anything in Desolation, but he, like, really doesn't do anything in the Battle of Five Armies, and then dies. So, yeah.
I don't know, all of the deaths felt a little weird to me.
In what way?
When I was watching it, like, I don't know, it felt so rushed.
Did it feel quick? Yeah.
Each one was so rushed, and I didn't feel anything.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I was like, oh shit, they're dead.
Yeah,
and then it just carried on. I was like, oh, okay.
I
just flying on the bird or something. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Philly is I always switch between Philly and Feely. I know it's meant to be Feely, but I always switch. I think his worked as a quick death because that was meant to be the shock. It was meant to be the like, oh shit, like they're slitting his throat or whatever they did, decapitate him. Stabbed him, pushed him off a cliff, whatever they did. I can't. I try not to remember it.
Is that like they pushed him off and he clearly landed in front of Killy, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then it just carried on, and there was no moment where there was just.
Yeah, I mean, Thorin. There's a really nice, and by nice I mean terrifying and heartbreaking, bit where Thorin does this kind of little head shake when Feely's like, "You need to run. You need to get out of here." He has a kind of tiny moment of like. He shakes his head and you see he's like distraught. I thought that was really nice, and by nice I mean terrifying and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know in the extended edition we're going to get a funeral scene, which is what I really, really wanted, because
it shouldn't be an extended.
Exactly. The extended edition should be things for Tolkien nerds and things for like people that really like the films, who just want a little bit extra, who want to see a bit more of like maybe side characters or locations. Like for example, in Desolation, you get more of Beorn and more of Mirkwood. And you're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Like, I like those scenes, and they're a bit extended, and they show me a bit more of this character that I perhaps didn't get to see. It shouldn't be the extended edition will fill in the plot, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind, like, a couple of plot holes being in the extended edition, but, like... Because I think they do that in...
Not main... Yeah, but not, like, main plot holes.
No, I mean, not entire protagonists, like, cut out almost.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, I think I'm being very picky with it, because obviously, like, Tolkien means a lot to me. And the thing is, I'd thought about the death scene. I mean, everyone's thought about it since, like, day one of Unexpected Journey. Because everyone went, oh no, I love Thorin and he's gonna die. So everyone's, been thinking about it. And everyone assumed it was gonna be way more drawn out. And I also anticipated it being this really heartbreaking moment where, like, it's sort of snowing on him, because there's a bit in The Last Goodbye, which is the credit song, where Billy Boyd sings, what is it? It's Snowflakes Cover My Fallen Brothers or something? I think it's something like that. And so I listened to that because it came out like a little bit before the film, and I was like, oh my god, it's going to be this really long drawn out thing, and then it's going to be like snowing, and it's going to slowly like cover his body, and it's going to be really heartbreaking. And I mean, I did cry a lot, just because the fact that Thorin's speech before he dies is heartbreaking. Because he's essentially saying to Bilbo, like, I wish I was more like you. But in the same time, it's tragic, because it's basically saying to Bilbo, like, you're not cut out for this. Because, he says, like, go back to your books and stuff. And then it's like, if more people valued a warm fireplace over gold, the world would be a better place. I'm paraphrasing. But it's really tragic, because if you think about it, he's essentially saying to Bilbo, like, go home. Like, you're not meant to be here. And it's, like, completely heartbreaking. But it's, like... So that was obviously horrible. But then, yeah, I don't know. In a kind of weirdly masochistic way, I just wanted it to be more drawn out.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted... And then after that, it's like, well, I'm going home, bye all the dwarves that we never got to see. Okay, well, I guess you'll deal with Erebor or whatever, bye. And then just left. And I mean, like, not a lot of people are interested in, like, the politics of Middle-earth as, like, casual viewers, but the Two Towers is basically 3 hours of politics revolving around Helm's Deep, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people enjoy that. So I wanted to see a little bit of, like, yeah, so Erebor's there, and there's, like, a few dwarves left. Alright, you guys have fun, you guys clean up all that. I know there's a bunch of angry men who probably want all that gold that's in there, and there's, like, 2 dwarves left. But, whatever, you guys deal with that, bye. Like, it's just like, well, what happened with that? Like...
There should have been a whole lot more. I just feel like it ended too soon. Like, I don't say this, like, I've not said this about any of the other films that ended too soon, but this one ended way too soon.
The thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, it's too long, like, it's too much, you're making it too long. In a way, it was too short, but also in another way, it was too long in the sense of characters that no one cared about got so much screen time.
Is this the Alfred discussion?
Alfred! Oh my god. No offense to I actually don't know his name. Sorry. The guy that plays Alfred. I think he played him really well. And, on the, like, behind the scenes things, he seems like a really funny guy. So, like, this is no offense to him, because he seems really nice. But just what was the point of that? Seriously.
He was absolutely fine in the last one, so that is my, like, justification that at least he was good in the last one.
Great in Desolation. Yeah. But I loved him in Desolation.
But wow.
We needed, like, justification. Like, he needed to have, like, died or had something happen to him which kind of like retribution. Is that the word?
Yeah, or some kind of character development. It was like, oh, here's Alfred, he's a coward. Here's Alfred, he's still a coward. Here's Alfred, he's a coward. The end.
It kept, like, every scene with him ended the same way, which is like he comes in, someone tells him to do something, he doesn't do it, he tries to leave.
Exactly.
Then he just comes back in the next scene.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I didn't hate his interactions. Like, I like the Master of Lake Town. I like Stephen Fry. I think, he's a bit on the nose, a bit kind of two-dimensional, like, oh, I'm really rich and I like brandy, and was basically playing his character that he played in Fable. But it needed that, and I think it worked really fine. They killed him off. He didn't really need anything else. He was great. But the thing is, like, the scene with oh goodness, when they're at Erebor and all the women are like, fuck this, I'm not sitting around waiting to die, like, let's take up arms and fight and stuff. Then Alfred's like, no, like, I really liked that scene. I thought that was really, it was funny, and also I was like, yeah, you go badass old lady, like, you punch some orcs in the face. But yeah, it's just, what was the point? Seriously, what was the point of giving him like half an hour of time that could have been spent maybe talking about Thorin, or talking about, having a scene with Fili and Kili going like, yeah, we could die today, and I promised our mum we wouldn't die. Yeah.
He's the character that should be extended edition only. He's not.
Exactly, that's the kind of shit that should be in the extended edition. It's for people to go like, oh, Alfred. I mean, I still wish they'd tied it up a little bit, but... Because
I honestly only thought there was kind of one scene that worked, which is the one where where they're on the sort of beach.
And they're saying like, we're gonna kill him, and then Bard's like, no.
Which is my favourite scene because of the hilarious thing that like someone produces rope out of nowhere to hang him.
Yeah, the dragon fireproof rope that they managed to salvage from Lake Town. But it just annoyed me because, like I said, it's nothing against Alfred, because I think he could have been an interesting character had he developed after, because his turning point should have been after his master had died. He doesn't have any means to get power, so he could have sided with Bard and gone like, either in the sense of, oh, I'm going to side with Bard because people like him, I can be sneaky again and get power. Or he could have used it in like oh, my master's dead, maybe I can be a decent person now kind of way. But he just stayed the same.
It felt like they kept trying to teach him the same lesson over and over again and nothing happened, so, like...
Yeah, and it didn't even feel like they were trying to make a point about people not being able to change. It just didn't, because I kind of would have even been okay with it if they were like, some people are just evil, but they weren't portraying him as like evil. He was just cowardly and kind of comic relief character.
But shit,
the whole character just feels like a studio sort of note of needs comic relief character.
Yeah, it feels
that's
like
what, the other dwarves were for. Like,
yeah,
you had so many other dwarves, and about 5 of them were funny. So it's easy to get comic relief out of them. You didn't have to go create this character.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, Alfred is just Groomer Wormtongue, but like his weird cousin. It's like, he's just kind of creepy and cowardly, and I just really don't see the point of why he was given so much screen time when there was so many unanswered questions about other stuff, about stuff that people were interested in,
Like, at least Wormtongue actually like fulfills a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Wormtongue is there to be the Severus Snape of Middle Earth, Like, Alfred is just kind of there, and I would be okay with him if something had happened with him. It's not a case of me being like, oh, I don't like original characters or blah, blah, blah. It's just a case of being like, add as many original characters as you want. Just give them some plot, and don't make it a shitty love plot with friggin' Keely that goes nowhere. But do you guys agree, like, you can disagree with me, do you guys agree that in a film that is really supposed to be about dwarves, that the elves kind of got a lot more of, like, they were kind of pushed to the front a lot more?
Yeah.
I mean, like, even the humans, the men, were pushed to the front more than dwarves, and which kind of pissed me off because I feel like the men got way more screen time than the dwarves did, while the dwarves were like hiding away in the mountain. I wanted to know what the fuck they were doing in the mountain, like the progression.
They're just chilling.
Yeah, but like they jumped from Thorin getting into the mountain to, for some reason, it must have. I don't know the time span, but it was clearly a long time because Thorin suddenly had like super gold sickness and he had fancy king robes on and from fucking nowhere. You know?
He just like finds them in his old wardrobe, like, oh man, I forgot I had these.
Yeah, and like he's suddenly ill and you didn't see any progression. Like there was just a random jump between the two.
That's definitely what I wanted more of. I definitely wanted more dwarf moments of just stuff happening, like do you montage? It's just like Dwalin like exercising and like Bofa just juggling shit.
Weekend at Bernie's with some of those dead dwarfs from Desolation.
Oh my god, no, that's horrible. Oh my god. Oh yeah, shit. What did they do with all of those dead people? Oh god. See, that could have been, like, genuinely, they could have done, like, a really depressing, like, scene where they burnt all the bodies or something. Anyway, I really wanted more dwarf moments. Like, do you remember, I think it's an Unexpected Journey, in the goblin caves, that they don't know are goblin caves, before they fall through the floor. There's a bit with Biffa, who's the guy who has the axe in his head, and he's playing with, like, a little toy bird or something that he's made. And it's just really, really cute. And I wanted way more stuff like that, because, you know, if any film is going to be about dwarves, it should be The Hobbit, right? You know, like, Lord of the Rings is, it's pretty Hobbit central. I mean, The Hobbit, obviously, is called The Hobbit, but, you know, you've got, the dwarves are a huge part of it. The Silmarillion, that, do as much elf stuff as you want with that. That's like all elves. But I just feel like, yeah, if any film is going to be dwarf centric, it should definitely be The Hobbit. And it just wasn't. You know, even Thorin, who I love as a character, and I think is, like, amazing, I'm still like, alright, but he actually wasn't developed that well.
I sort of feel like the first one has, like good dwarf stuff, but then it sort of feels like watching that film, you're like, okay, well, there's a lot of potential here. I'm sure they'll get to it in the sequel, and nope.
Yeah, it feels like Peter Jackson kind of went, right, okay, so we'll get all the dwarf characterization out of the way in the first one, because then we've introduced them, and now it's on to the elves.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you need to carry on that characterization. Like, yeah, introduce the elves and make them awesome. Like, I have nothing against them. Like, I don't, as I said already, I don't particularly like the way Legolas is portrayed. I think Thranduil's amazing. I love him. Like, he's everything I wanted. He's just kind of ridiculous. And I like Toriel as well. I think she's badass. And even, like, Elrond and Lindir and stuff, like, they're all really awesome. I just don't know why he spent so much time with things that weren't dwarves, basically.
I don't know, there's also a thing for me that I just sort of think it feels weird that, like, so many characters get introduced in the second one. The first one is so sort of focused on those characters, and then they introduce, like, so many new characters in the second one. I sort of feel like maybe, I know it goes against canon and all of that sort of stuff, but maybe the elves should have been in the first one at least a little bit, like.
Well, I mean, you have Thranduil right at the start when they're like, but the elves gave them no help or whatever he says.
But the character, you got nothing from him.
And then, yeah, when he's like, "Did I leave the oven on? Oh, I left the oven on." And he turns his head, but
you get nothing from that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some kind of. What do you call it? It's not a flash forward, like a location jump, just to see Thranduil kind of like maybe in his halls in Mirkwood, just kind of like sat in his throne saying like, oh, I've heard that Thorin's thinking of going to Erebor, because Elrond knows, right? Because they've gone to Rivendell, and Elrond's like, don't go get Erebor back, and they're like, okay, maybe. So it's completely logical that Thranduil would know about it, really, if Elrond knows, you know.
I mean, maybe they could even cut that, like, whole, like, when they're talking about, oh, the spiders are going even further now, sort of thing. They can cut that whole thing and put it in the first one, like, and have, like a nice little short action scene or something.
Yeah, because, I mean, Radagast gets attacked, quote-unquote, by spiders.
Yeah.
But then they never really do anything with that. It's like, oh, spiders are bad. Like, yeah, okay, we know that. It's a fantasy film. Spiders and dead people are always bad. Like,
Oh,
y-
I just remember there was that whole thing that Radagast basically possibly had another scene
yeah.
in this one that got deleted. Was there like a cart thing or something that he was meant to have?
He was meant to do something. Was he meant to do something with his rabbits? His, like, rabbit sled? His hobo Santa rabbit sled? I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like didn't get done. So again, like extended edition maybe.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm ragging on these films, but overall, I really do like them a lot more than I thought. But the thing is, because the Hobbit novel is so short and so quick, like, nothing against Tolkien, he's my babe. Like, but it is done very quickly, and you don't, personally, I don't feel very empathetic towards Thorin at all. Because in the novel, he's very much like, Feely, Keely, bring me my harp, I'm gonna sing about how amazing I am, la 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 la, oh, I'm dead. And the thing is, Peter Jackson gave me an amazing, well-rounded character, and I was like, oh my god, I love him more than I thought I would. But then he kind of didn't do anything with him. Yeah. And I don't know if that's because he was worried he was going too much away from the canon, and maybe we need to get back into the style of the book, so that's why everything was quick. I don't know. I don't think so. No offense to him, because I am carrying his child. No offense to him. Just because I feel like if he was worried about canon, he wouldn't have added Tauriel and Alfred and all that.
Yeah.
I honestly, sorry to him, but I just, overall, I do really, really like them way more than I thought I would. So I know it sounds like I'm just really down on them, but I'm not. I really like them, and I like Lord of the Rings, I'll rewatch them for years and still enjoy them. But he basically gave me the prospect of amazing characters. He created in Unexpected Journey, he basically created an amazing set of characters and an amazing world that I instantly was super invested in, and then just didn't take it in the places that I wanted it to go.
I sort of have that opinion on Desolation. I also sort of feel like Desolation introduced a lot of characters that I liked the idea of, and then I just feel like it's Battle of the Five Armies sort of. It almost feels like a film. Yeah, it does feel like a film that is too short. It feels like it's setting up films that aren't happening. Like, I know it's meant to set up Lord of the Rings, but it feels like it's setting up another trilogy in between.
Exactly. This is my thing. It feels like it's either setting up some kind of weird prequel to Lord of the Rings, or it feels like The Hobbit should have had some kind of prequel where you got the kind of dwarf characterization that you didn't get in The Hobbit. Because ideally, this will never happen, but my ideal situation as a fan would be Peter Jackson going, all right, we're going to create some kind of weird prequel trilogy to The Hobbit where you see Thorin and his company, getting kicked out of Erebor for the first time, Smaug coming in for the first time, and then 3 films of dwarf characterization as we try and rebuild our broken relationships and broken home and blah, 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 blah. That would be amazing, because that's what it feels like this needs to me.
I think the best way I can summarize The Hobbit is like, I have one low point and one high point. And that's, my low point is the sandworms.
Sandworms. Oh, did anyone, oh man, no one
I will never get over that.
I'm trying to repress them.
Because
it's so random.
It's that they never came back, and it was like, why was that necessary?
Because sandworms, Andrew.
I don't know why the orcs couldn't have just like dug themselves.
No,
you need a massive
they need
like
sandworms.
wormy explosion,
I don't know.
And then clearly, like straight after the worms go back into their tunnel, which is the size of their body, the orcs run out.
My high point was the bit where the elves jumped over the dwarfs.
I love that, but a lot of people, I went to improv the other day, and a lot of people were like hilariously criticizing it. They were like, but that wouldn't work in an infantry situation, and blah, 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 blah. And they were like, oh, they destroyed a perfect formation, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it didn't matter. It was amazing. Like, I loved that so much.
Because it's so real life, isn't it?
Shit, yeah. I love that so much.
That was sort of the nearest to like Lord of the Rings sort of battle stuff that I sort of like in those films. I think in terms of
The thing is, I mean, I'm generalizing, and you can shoot me down. The thing is, I don't think anyone... Okay, not anyone. I don't think the kind of people who are invested in the story are the kind of people who go, you know what my favourite part is? My favourite part is the battle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
People who are invested in story and narratives, like, I'm one of them, just don't really care about the fighting. Like, it's the same, like, it's like anything. Like, you play D&D, it's like, fighting has to happen to progress with things. Like, okay, if you have a good DM, it doesn't. But, you know, fighting has to happen because... Are you playing WoW right now? Because you were playing WoW, like, 2 seconds before we started the podcast, so you shut your nerd mouth.
I had some stuff to do.
I had to get my fucking bitch elf to level 120, blah, blah, blah. But, what was I saying? Oh, anyway, combat. Like, people who are invested in the story aren't interested in combat. I mean, I'm generalizing, and I'm probably going to get a million tweets from people saying, no, but combat can tell stories and stuff. And yeah, it can. You can have amazing stories told on the battlefield. But that wasn't done at all. So, for me, a lot of the battle just felt like it was just there because it had to happen. And then Billy Connolly was there for some reason.
That was weird. That threw me so much.
And then just left. And then people who aren't into Tolkien are like, what's up with that? And I was like, you know he gets crowned afterwards, right? And people were like, oh, what? And I'm like, yeah, he's actually a really important character in the narrative.
That was another character that felt like, what? Like, again, why introduce him? Why get such a big actor if you're not even going to show his face properly? Because it was suddenly like, and his voice coming from a dwarf, and it's like, what? There's a celebrity? There's another big celebrity in this? I didn't know.
Yeah, and Dane is a really important character, and I didn't mind Billy Connolly doing it. I thought he was great. But it was like, oh, Billy Connolly's here on a CGI pig, and he's gone.
With a CGI body.
With a CGI everything, pretty much, and he's gone. And it was just like, wait, what? What was the point in that? It just feels like a lot of loose threads for stuff that really shouldn't have loose threads. Like, I don't mind not finding out, for example, like what happens to Bard. I don't mind Peter Jackson going, Bard's got a lot of stuff to do. He's got to rebuild Lake Town. I mean, we didn't even really get that. We didn't get a lot of...
I completely forgot about that.
You know, like, we don't even really get that. But I don't mind stuff like Bard, him leaving it on, like, a... Bard's got a lot ahead of him, but he's hopeful, kind of... I don't mind that. But when you leave out, like, what happens to the dwarves, when they're not even in the battle, and then you just cut to them, and you're like, oh, okay, they all survived. Bye. That's kind of like...
The only like proper ending you got is between who was it? Thranduil and Legolas when he's go find that child
find Aragorn who's 10 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. So...
I did love that. Like a time span what's the word? Incorrectness, that's not the word, but whatever. Aside, I did like that a lot. That kind of made me go like, that was a nice little moment, I thought. I was like, yeah, that's nice.
See, I liked it. The only thing is it kind of reminded me of the end of Star Wars Episode 3, where like the end is just, hey, let's set up literally everything where they're going to be in the next one. Yeah,
I mean, it didn't bother me too much because I thought, well, other stuff happened afterwards. Whether or not that stuff was good is a whole other debate, but you know, stuff happened around it, so I didn't mind it too much, and it did kind of make me go like, oh, Lord of the Rings is a thing I enjoy. That kind of, you know, like, oh yeah, kind of, yeah, the time anachronisms aside, I guess that's probably not the right word, whatever. But yeah, I just, you know, also, was Toriel... Because Toriel kind of is another character that didn't have anything happen to her. Were you meant to think that Thranduil killed her?
What, when?
Because I read this online. Because, you know, she says something, I really need to watch the film again. She says something like, if this is love, I don't want it, take it from me.
Oh yeah, is that literally the last thing you see of her?
Doesn't
I
he?
think
I
so.
thought he then went like.
No.
Did he
Beforehand, he's like, she's like, why does it hurt? And he does that "follow me for more love quotes" thing, where he's like, because it was real.
I thought he then sort of like. I don't know. I thought...
People have been saying that you're meant to think that Thranduil like kills her.
I
don't.
That makes literally no sense.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so, because they didn't set Thranduil as being that, like, that's a villainous sort of move.
Yeah, it's not too. I don't think the film is that dark. Although I will say, the bit at the beginning in Lake Town was whoa, like that was so much worse than the battle. The battle should have been like the most horrifying part. No. The bit in Lake Town where people are burning alive and screaming, and like people are like clawing at other people to get out of the way. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
But
that
it was all like
awful.
made fine by the arrow being put on the kid's shoulder.
That cracked me up. Oh my god, this film is full of unintentionally hilarious moments. Like the bit where Bard goes to talk to Thorin and he kind of leans forward. He's like, yes.
Through the little like diamond hole, he's just
which
also slides in.
And also it's like, wait, Thorin has to be like standing on some boxes or like standing on like Bomber or something, because they are not the same height. You know, Bard is meant to be like, what, like 6 foot? And Thorin's like, 4 foot something. I'm just like, how is this working? Unless Erebor is on like a weird hill.
Yeah, no, I remember laughing in the cinema at that, just because I was thinking, like, this is such a weird way to have a conversation in a film.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was meant to be like physical barrier between them reflects the emotional barrier or whatever, but I was just like... This is just unintentionally hilarious, because it just makes Thorin look like a spoilt child. And that, I'm fine with that as an aspect of him. But that moment, he was meant to be like grand, angry king. And it just came across as, yes, can we come in? No. And he just like pulled back slightly.
But it was like the shot was reversed. Not even like he kind of turns and walks away. He literally slid back. It was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
It was amazing. Oh man, yeah, like stuff like that cracked me. I think there was a shot with Bomber at one point as well that made me laugh. Like Bomber pulls a face that's meant to be serious, but it just doesn't look serious. And also there's a bit the bit where Thorin thinks he's killed Azog for the first time, where he pushes the rock onto him. He does like a slightly tilts his head and he's like, "Bitch, what do you think I was gonna do?" kind of face, which is amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I just. Like I said, like it sounds like I really hated these films, but I didn't. I really enjoyed them overall. For me, the Battle of the Five Armies should have been the one that really kind of made me go like, whoa. And really, I completely preferred Desolation. Desolation was the film that I think I'll always remember. Like, I distinctly, I mean, I did see it a lot of times, so maybe that's part of it. But, when the title credits come up, imposed in front of the mountain, and it's like dun dun dun, like that music. I that really sticks with me as being like, whoa. It like gives me like goosebumps. The Battle of the Five Armies, I'm like, yeah, it's incredibly sad because all of my favorite characters die, but it doesn't give me that same emotional kind of like, whoa, this is amazing, like I'm so happy that I'm like the right age to be watching this kind of thing. I don't know, it just...
It kind of missed its mark in terms of like epic feel, which had all of the Lord of the Rings films had. Like the final Lord of the Rings film had this epic feel to it. When you when you finished watching it, you're just like, that was so fucking cool. But you come out of this like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, so,
I mean, I think Boromir's death affects me more because. The thing, I mean, part of it is to do with the fact that Peter Jackson kind of has to kill off 3 characters very quickly. And that, admittedly, that's a huge challenge for anyone. To kill off 3 of your main characters within the space of, like, 10 minutes and have them all be meaningful is a huge undertaking. But, yeah, I just feel like Boromir's death was done... It was about him. It wasn't about other stuff. It wasn't about a love plot with an elf. It wasn't about, letting Bilbo be sad. It was about Boromir, and Boromir trying to save the hobbits after his trying to take the ring. You know, it was like his moment.
Yeah.
And it felt right. It felt like it was his moment, and he had time.
It's the single most greatest death in movie history.
No, it's not. It's horrible, and it makes me cry. No, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like it felt right.
Yeah.
Like it's like whoa. But yeah, like I say, I mean, it's a huge undertaking for anyone to kill off 3 characters very quickly.
But the problem I had with it is like, it was so obvious what was going to happen. Like, I knew that they were going to die beforehand, but the way it was set up just was like, no shit, they're going to die.
Yeah,
I sent them off on their own.
Yeah, I kind of wanted, before I saw it, I kind of really liked the idea in a really masochistic way of Thorin like finding their bodies, because that's the thing that pissed me off. Thorin is dying, right? And the last interactions he's had with Fili and Kili have been him being a massive dick to the 2 nephews, his only 2 nephews that he has with him, who he promised Dis that he'd keep safe. Probably it's not in the films, but it's implied. Blah 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 blah. Like obviously, Dis probably gonna be like, please don't kill my nephews. My nephews, my sons. You know, the last interactions with them that he's had have mainly been all gold sickness stuff. So he's been like, I hate you, basically, to them. As he's dying, he doesn't know what's happened to Kili, as far as I can remember. He knows he knows Fili's dead because he saw it. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't know what's happened to Kili. There is no mention of that. There is no mention of like, oh, maybe I'll see Fili again. You know, blah blah blah. There's no mention of what happened to Kili. There's no mention of I should have been nicer to them. There's no mention of I'm sorry that I was so cruel to them. I'm sorry that the gold sickness took over me and that I let them down. I'm sorry that I let Fili die, like, after protecting him. I'm sorry that I killed off the whole line of Durin, pretty much. There's no mention of that. And I mean, like I say, I said earlier, like, the speech itself is heartbreaking when you think about it, the speech to Bilbo, because he is essentially saying to Bilbo, like, go home. Go home, you're drunk. But, like, it's just, I wanted some kind of, oh, by the way, how are my nephews that I was a massive dick to? You know? Like, there's just nothing.
Yeah, even when they die, they, like, I can't remember, how quick was Kili's death? He didn't, like, die straight away. He had, like, a moment.
He had a moment with Toriel, I think. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. He has a moment with Toriel where he, I think she kisses him. I'm pretty sure she kisses him. There's something there.
Does she like kiss his dead body or something? I feel like I remember hearing that.
I think she Aragorns it and yeah, like kisses him as he's dying, kind of thing.
Okay.
With Boromir.
Oh yeah.
Wait, they kiss?
Because I was.
What?
Did they kiss?
Yeah,
I don't remember
that.
that.
It's very different to the kiss I was thinking of.
No, Aragorn kisses Boromir's forehead.
Boromir, I loved you.
Forehead. Well, okay. Why not? I'm cool with that. Whatever. That's no. Okay, just to recap. Aragorn kisses Boromir's forehead in a quote unquote brotherly fashion.
Okay.
They do not make out in Arm and Hen. Well, near Arm and Hen. They do not make out. If you want
Get to your point.
I forget my point. I can't stop thinking about Boromir and Aragorn making out now. That's all that's in my brain. Oh no. No, seriously. Yeah. I just wanted some kind of, I kind of screwed this whole thing up from Thorin, basically. I wanted some kind of, like, he's dying. And he's been a massive dick to both of them. And apart from reclaiming Erebor, he's been entrusted to keep his nephews safe. He doesn't, they're the only family he has with him, like, close family he has with him. Yeah. I just didn't feel like they really felt like a family, Yeah. And like I said before, I wouldn't even mind if that was done intentionally. If there was a scene between Fili and Kili going, you know what, I don't think Thorin's that great. Or some kind of like, it would have been a really good opportunity to do the whole kind of like, sometimes your parents or your elders like aren't perfect people. kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
It would have been a really good opportunity to explore that, because Steely and Killy are fairly sheltered before they leave. And it would have been a really good opportunity to be like, oh, actually, you know what? Like, Thorin's not great. Like, we should help him, or we should ignore him, or whatever. I just don't feel like they felt like a family, like, at all.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the problem with this film, is it's a lot of like easy fixes.
Yeah.
Like you could have just like not done this, or you could have just done this, and it would have like fixed it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of like, it's not big issues. It's
No.
not I hated the films. I don't like the films. Blah blah blah. It's just little things where it's because I like them that I want these things. Like if I didn't like them, I wouldn't care. But it's because I like them that I'm like, oh, if you'd just done this, it would have been so much better, kind of thing. You know?
It's
Yeah.
like it's like scenes I like. So to say the bit where Sauron turns up,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's a really great scene up until they repeat the moment from Fellowship where what's her name?
Galadriel?
Galadriel does her scary thing.
Scary face.
And the voice doesn't really work, and it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, I don't like that bit. I feel like it looks weird in a slightly more modern film, because Fellowship gets away with some awful CGI, such as Legolas on the cave troll and that weird fadey face transition where Frodo wakes up in Rivendell.
But like, the thing is, those films were made like in early 2000s.
Exactly.
The technology for awesome CGI wasn't around. They did most of that with just special effects and costumes and all stuff like that. It was like, and the stuff they did have, which were visual effects, was groundbreaking at the time.
Exactly.
But the shit they did in these films were worse than that. It was
I hated that the orcs were CGI.
Yeah.
I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because I think the orcs look really good in Fellowship.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like,
loved them.
you've had like 15 years, pretty well, give or take, you know, roughly. You've had like 10, 15 years. You can make them look even more amazing. And I don't know why they were CGI.
It's just, I think two of the orcs looked okay in CGI, and that's it. Like the main two.
I think, yeah, Azog and Bolg look fine. You know, I still think I would have preferred them not to be, but all the rest of them, I don't know.
They just felt too, like, as characters, they didn't feel like, as in appearance, they didn't look detailed. If you get what I'm saying, like they were obviously CG, which was really, they just didn't work as like the kind of films Lord of the Rings was that all of the orcs were costumes, and it was fucking amazing because they looked great. And yeah, it was just too CG, and it just kind of, it's just disappointing.
I mean,
Like that barrel sequence in Desolation. I mean, Desolation is my favorite.
I hate the bit with the friggin' the handy cam or the GoPro, whatever that is,
God,
with
yeah.
the like, whoa, we're underwater. Why?
It's just also
It's
that,
terrible.
like, that's why I'm like, as much as I kind of would have liked that film to, like, Smaug is such a good CGI creation. It's annoying that like it seems like they spent all their money on that and then didn't have any money for the orcs.
Yeah, I mean,
and the gold.
Smaug does look amazing. Like the bit where at the end of Desolation where he like flies off into the sky and like shakes all the gold off. That's like, whoa, it's so well done. And I mean, maybe Weta just didn't want to make another friggin' 10 billion orc costumes, because I don't want to be the person that does that. But if you, and you know, it's a lot easier to just, well, not easy. I'm not saying CGI is easy. It's incredibly difficult. But you know, it's a lot simpler to kind of go, okay, we're going to make some 3D models and just replicate that times 10,000 instead of making 10,000 individual orc costumes.
Yeah. But they did that on the Lord of the Rings films anyway.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I just... The CGI doesn't bother me that much because there's other stuff that bothers me more.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing, but yeah. I don't know. Like I say, overall, it sounds like I'm really down. Even like the tone of my voice, I'm like, ugh. But overall, I do really, really like the films a lot. It's just these little things that bother me, and I don't I would really, really like some kind of prequel to The Hobbit. It will never happen because it just would. I don't know if it would work, really. Like, I mean, I don't know how the hell you'd market it or anything. I really want some kind of prequel where, it's like it's set just after the sort of prologue of Unexpected Journey, and it's like, shit, all the dwarves don't have a home now, and we need to go gather some people. We need to reclaim Erebor. How are we gonna do this? And it's like actually focused on the dwarves as individual characters, and actually, gives them some screen time and gives them a chance to develop and stuff like that, as opposed to just having them as either comic relief characters or like characters that don't do anything and then just die or just go off and do whatever.
I would watch a film directed by Wes Anderson that is just about the hobbits.
Oh my god, yes.
That would be amazing. I want that. Andrew, fund it.
Andrew, do it.
I could do it, I guess. It would be like a spoofing.
Do it. I'll be in it.
One thing on The Hobbit is that I'm happy that the end. I was looking when he was Bilbo was looking at the ring at the end. I've said this before, but I was so scared that he was gonna do the ring, like scary ring.
Oh my god,
thing.
same. The scary face that terrifies me to this day, where he turns into like a crack addict. Oh my god. That's so scary. Where he's in Rivendell and he's just like, oh, Frodo, you have the and everyone shits themselves. To this day, I know it's coming and it scares me every single freaking time. It's awful. But yeah, I was really worried about that too, but I'm so happy he didn't. But yeah, in the extended edition, I really also want to see Bilbo planting that acorn, because I thought that was possibly the most touching moment of the film. So.
Well, did he have a tree in Lord of the Rings that may have grown from the acorn? Trees come from acorns.
I'm not an oak tree.
Oak tree. Was there an oak tree?
I'm not that big of a Lord of the Rings nerd that I know what trees Bilbo has. I think he has trees. He must do. I don't know. I feel like I should Google it now. And see what kind of trees Bilbo has. We need to wrap this up soon anyway. But,
yeah.
I will quickly Google. Does Bilbo have trees? Does Barocca work? No, that's not what I wanted to do. Bilbo Baggins. The road goes ever on. Song. No, that's not helpful. No, I don't want family trees, you poo. What are the riddles that Gollum asked Bilbo? No. Thorin Oakenshield quotes, IMDb. None of these are helpful. Right, okay, no, don't know.
I assume you're saving that Thorin quotes one to your favourites though anyway.
It's already there. Oh man, I do love Thorin Oakenshield with a passion. I like I said, I do love the films.
Is his last name Oakenshield?
No,
because he picked up an oak.
It's not his last
shield.
name. It's like his, it's not his actual surname. It's just like one of those kind of medieval nickname type things. Like Richard the Lionheart or something. It's like a kind of given nickname. But it is Oakenshield because of the Oaken branch thing that he uses as a shield.
I've just remembered a plot hole that's always bugged me. I mean, maybe it's not a plot hole because.
Yeah.
In Desolation, Smaug says Thorin Oakenshield. Like, he calls him that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that. How would he know that he's got the Oakenshield? Because that thing happens after. I mean,
That's true, but I think you can kind of get away. Well,
I mean, there is that thing like, maybe Sauron was in cahoots with Smaug.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about dragons is it's really hard to characterize dragons in The Hobbit because it's like, how intelligent are they and what are they actually doing? It's like, Smaug's meant to have been like sleeping in Erebor, right?
Mm.
But it's like, was he actually, or was that just like something,
well, he wakes up at the end of the first film, doesn't he? And then when they reach it, he's
asleep again.
So maybe he wakes up every so often and kind of checks.
It's kind of like you
shit that happens.
Reblog some stuff on Tumblr.
I sort of took that as being like an
Gets
alarm clock.
Frappuccino.
That scene, I sort of took it as like an alarm clock. He's like the alarm clock goes off, but he then hits it, so he snoozes for a little bit longer.
Yeah. And then the dwarves come, and he's like, I haven't had my latte. But, yeah, it's very hard to characterize dragons in the sense of what do they actually do, because it's a lot like the eagles. Like, you know, in the films they're portrayed as basically just transportation, whereas in the world of Tolkien it's like no, like they're an actual race, like they do stuff that isn't just carrying Gandalf around Middle Earth. But I mean, yeah, I guess that's a plot hole. It depends on
the eagles came back, didn't they, in the third film?
Yeah, along with Bjorn the bear.
Yeah, they drop don't they drop Beorn down into the battle?
He dropped into the battle, and then that was it.
Beorn's awesome. I wish he was in it more. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's so cool. And the guy that plays him is like this big, like, I think he's a Scandinavian guy. And they're like asking him to chop wood, and he's like, I used to do this all the time. Like, I'm used to it. Like, he's so cool. Like, he's awesome. I forget his name. It's like some name that I couldn't pronounce anyway, because I'm too, like, English to know foreign names, because I'm not racist. I'm just too lazy to learn.
Such a hole.
This podcast is sponsored by UKIP.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
But yeah, he's amazing. I love him. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of dragons, it depends. You can have your own headcanon about how often Smell goes out for a Starbucks and a taco. The oldie taco. But yeah, well, yeah, just overall, generally, like I keep saying, it sounds like I'm really down on the films. I'm not. And I really enjoy them. I just want more, and my ideal situation would be some kind of prequel that we're not going to get. Yeah, I think it would be amazing if you did the Silmarillion. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that would be really cool. But
they should give it to someone else.
It should be me and Stephen Colbert. That's who it should be, Jamie. Me and Stephen Colbert would make the best Silmarillion TV series. Okay. It would be amazing.
You probably would. That's the thing.
He could be in it. He could be a Iluvatar. I don't care who he plays. He can be in it. I don't mind. But that's one of my life dreams, is for me and Stephen Colbert to write a Silmarillion TV series, because we'd get it right.
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, if Peter Jackson did come out and say, "Hey, we're doing a Silmarillion trilogy," like, I'd be excited for it. And I think he'd probably handle it well, because he likes elves a lot, obviously, and it's like elf-centric. But I would be way more excited if, like, HBO or whatever was like, hey, we're doing a series. That'd be amazing. That's what I think.
And then there'd be loads and loads of boobs.
Loads of what?
Boobs.
Well, boobs. Well, the Silmarillion is far more darker, I'd say, than a lot of the stuff in Lord of the Rings. Like, there's a bit where a character gets... massive spoilers. There's a bit where a character gets, like, chained to a rock, and to get off he has to cut his own hand off and stuff.
Oh, it's just like a Batman villain.
Basically, yeah. He's not a villain though. He's a good guy. He just
wait. That's actually that happens in Well with one of the main or villain people.
Well, it was stolen from Tolkien.
It totally was.
And now you know.
Did he put a sword into his stump arm and use it as a weapon?
Well, are you just talking about Azog now?
No. Oh shit.
Is that another WoW thing?
It's the same character.
Wow. Okay. Blizzard, if you're listening, you need to start getting some different inspiration.
The Batman.
Read some Patrick Rothfuss or something. What?
The Batman villain I'm talking about is KG Beast.
I don't really know much about KG Beast.
Well, that's pretty much.
Come on.
His name is KG Beast. That's all you need to know. He cut off his hand because Batman tied him up, and he went, "I'm not going to get caught." So he cut off his own hand and replaced it with a machine gun.
I don't know about. Oh, I want to look him up now. I don't know about him. That sounds amazing. Yeah, the character in the Silmarillion does not replace his hand with a machine gun.
Or a sword.
Or a sword. He just lets it hang free. But yeah, cool. I think that was everything I wanted to say about The Hobbit. Does anyone have any final words before I go and sleep? Actually, I'm going to watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame tonight.
Oh, you nerd.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm really excited. Anyway, any final words? Or should we do a final question, because we haven't done one of those in a while?
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot that was something we meant to do. We didn't do that last week. I mean, yeah, last week.
Shh, you're ruining the magic of podcasting. Stop breaking the fourth wall.
He's totally recording on the same
Shh.
day.
Yeah. Shh. Fourth wall. Is there a fourth wall in podcasting? I don't know. Okay. How about this? I'll do an easy one. If you were in Middle Earth, what race would you be and why?
Hobbit.
Dwarf.
I'm gonna say Hobbit.
Okay, first of all, Jamie, that's the right choice. Well done. Andrew, why would you be a hobbit?
I don't know. I just don't think like. I think
you'd be a hobbit.
Yeah, I just don't see myself as sort of. I'm not like. No offense, Jamie. I don't think I'm like gruff enough to be a dwarf.
Wow.
And I think I'm about. I am.
No, and I think I'm also like about the right height for a hobbit as well.
That's true. Yeah, Jamie, you're more elf height. You need to like hack off your legs or something.
Yeah, but I'm not elf face.
Well, we can. I don't know. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think me and you'd be good dwarves. We could drink together.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Totally a drink.
Yeah.
I think pigs.
Yeah. No, I think Andrew, I agree with you as well because you like staying inside and
watching films.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you be, Cassie, if it wasn't a dwarf?
If I wasn't a dwarf, that's hard because dwarves are amazing. See, I want to say elf, but actually, I don't know. Elves kind of, I mean, they're portrayed as really badass, but actually, they kind of have really boring lives. Like, I feel like if I lived in Rivendell or Mirkwood or something, I'd actually get really bored. Because most of what elves do is just sitting around looking really pretty. I don't know. I guess I'd be in the race of men. I'd like to live in Gondor or Rohan or somewhere sort of around there. Because then you get sort of best of both worlds. Because you can stay in and just, do needlework or whatever. Or you can go out and fight if you want. Yeah, I guess I'd be in race of men. Because I don't think I'd make a very good hobbit. I mean, because they have they have nice lives. But again, I think I'd get bored. So, ideally, I'd like to be a shapeshifter like Beowulf.
I'm sorry for asking.
What? Oh, okay. I didn't understand that you were mocking me.
You went on for so long.
Sorry. I didn't even realize. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I genuinely didn't realize that I was talking a lot. I'm
a quick question about what Cassie would be if it wasn't a dwarf.
I'm so sorry.
Why I want to be because men can do all this.
I didn't realize. I'm really
men
sorry.
can go out to battle.
I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. This is like, yeah, but to be fair to me, this is like, besides like TF2 and like Arrested Development, this is like my thing, And to be fair, I'm probably not going to get to talk about Tolkien for ages because, like, the trilogy's over now. I have nothing left to do in my life,
The Warcraft movie comes out next year, so you can totally get on the hype for that.
Yeah, you need to teach me about World of Warcraft. Me and Andrew, you need to teach us things. I like the guy that dug his own eyes out. Illidan? Is that it?
He didn't dig his own eyes out.
Oh, I thought he dug his own eyes out.
No, he kind of got corrupted, and I can't remember like there is like a cool reason, like he has some crazy.
I thought it was because
he
wanted to see demons, or he didn't want to see demons, or something.
I think it was
Is that a different character?
No, there's something along those lines. Wait, I need to know now.
Okay, sorry. This podcast will end at some point, just not soon, apparently. Sorry.
Give me a sec.
There's been a couple of news things while we were podcasting.
Oh, talk.
Disney is eyeing Chris Pratt for an Indiana Jones reboot.
Really?
Wait, have they actually signed him? I thought it was just rumours.
Just rumours at the moment, but the fact that everyone's reporting on it means it's more likely.
I would totally be up for that, but I was considering, they were talking about the Bounty Hunter spin-off that they were doing, and they said, they might get Han Solo. I thought they would probably totally use Chris Pratt in that.
The only thing is, I feel like they maybe have him younger, so they might need to get someone like younger than Harrison Ford in the first Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, a reboot makes sense because he's the same age, and that'd be so good. Okay, I'd watch the shit out of that. But yeah.
And the other bit of news is that they're this is the trade, so again, not 100% confirmed by studios or anything, but the Ghostbusters cast has been chosen.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Does it have casting details, or does it just say
Yeah,
it's confirmed?
yeah. It's Melissa McCarthy, obviously.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig, and then 2 people from the current SNL.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's cool.
And
I mean, I'm not.
It's
Sorry.
eyeing a summer shoot in New York.
Really? Wow. I mean, I'm not like a huge Ghostbusters fan, but I'm still quite excited for this.
Yeah, no, me too. I would like to see what they're doing with this.
Yeah, same. Jamie, have you finished Googling yet?
Yeah. Basically, what happened? The main demon guy gave Eladin this gift because when he became a demon hunter, and it burns out their eyes, so they can kind of see demon shit. And yeah, that's basically what happens.
That's amazing. He kind of okay, he didn't, but whatever. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for listening, podcast listeners. You won't have to hear me talking about Tolkien for a very, very, very long time, until the year of 2025, when me and Stephen Colbert will pair up to create a Silmarillion TV series. When Game of Thrones finally ends, we'll pitch that to HBO. And it'll be amazing. But, yeah, you do get to hear us talking about Game of Thrones soon, because it's back in April, isn't it? April.
That's so far away.
Remember when we thought Avengers 2 was far away, when we saw Avengers 1?
I remember when we thought Avengers was far away.
Oh my god, don't. I feel old. Don't do that. Wow. But yeah, we'll probably be doing a lot of Marvel, a lot of DC, a lot of Game of Thrones. Jamie will be talking about Spider-Man and World of Warcraft. Andrew will be crying about Wes Anderson, and I'll be wishing that I was somewhere else. So thank you for... And Boromir, but I always think about Boromir, so no change there.
And he's still going to be dead, no matter what happens.
We maybe just end the podcast now.
Wherever you are. Boromir! Why did you die? Bye.
Bye.